independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
As a student of American history, people are going to be studying this for a long time.
Just the ceremony of it, walking over, delivering the articles of impeachment.
The House clerk right now appears to still be holding on to the articles of impeachment, from what we can tell from the cameras right there.
Through the rotunda, through Statuary Hall, back to the House of Representatives.
Thinking about the history that they're walking through.
There's a sacramental quality to this. There's a ritual.
There is something almost religious to it. One of the things these senators are going to have to think about is what do they want us to think about when we look at their portrait?
And some of them might think there will be actual statues that we will someday walk by.
The French Revolution, did the guy getting his head taken off hear the drum roll? Why is there a drum roll? Why is there so much ritual in life?
People are going to be studying this for a long time.
Do you take anybody seriously? You want to know why I don't get invited on those shows anymore? Because I laugh at stuff like that. I'm like, are you being serious right now? Did you say Sacramento? That's what I thought he said. I'm like, why Chris Matthews say something about Sacramento? Stupid. They're going to build statues to these people. For what? Just curious. What are you building statues to these people for? No politician, I don't think, should ever have a statue, minus a very, 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 very small few, for the sacrifices they have made, spending other people's money to keep themselves into the fiefdoms that they enjoy, where they can dominate so many. They'll build statues to these people. Shut up. Chad, you're not taking this seriously. Probably not. By the way, Trump today, for those of you not keeping score, he went all out on his defense team, brought himself a new defense team in, including Dershowitz, Ken Starr, getting themselves ready, trying to figure out how they're going to maneuver through all this wackiness come Tuesday.
This White House facing the prospect of a trial in just a few days, still up in the air on strategy. The president has said he wants a quick dismissal, the speediest impeachment trial in history. Bill Clinton's lasting just over a month. Andrew Johnson's almost 2 months. He's moving for a dismissal, and he's looking at this politically. When he was in the Oval Office, you could see in front of him the map of the 2016 election and county by county where things are. So he's got a sense of where it is going, and he's going to decide his strategy. Does he want witnesses? Does he want to call executive privilege over witnesses from the administration? It is still very much up
in the air, I'm sure. But here's the thing. Of course he's going to have witnesses. Come on now. You'd be stupid not to think you're not going to have witnesses. Oh, wait, you're not. Because why would they? Because they're continually to say we're going to listen to what everything has to say, but guess what? Don't think we're going to be bringing any more witnesses. But what about witnesses? We want more witnesses. We should be having more witnesses. Isn't that what this is about?
Do you think the Senate should consider new evidence as part of the Senate trial that has come out?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because that's not our job. The job is to respond to what we've been given in the case that was built by the House. They've given us 2 very weak articles of impeachment. Our job is to look at what they brought us and decide if that rises to the level of impeachment.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to tell you guys this. I want you guys to understand. This has nothing to do with Trump. Zero to do with Trump. A lot of this is on us as Americans, as voters, because we've allowed politicians, long before Trump got there, to run free and stomp all over the Constitution. They're stomping on it. They're running around. They're doing stomp. They're breakdancing, right? Woohoo, breakdancing. They're doing all kinds of stuff, blowing their nose with the Constitution, right? In bed with big business. They're taking, and both sides are as guilty as they get. There's a big trough there, and they feed at the same trough. They do. They absolutely do. And because we never hold the base, right? And I'm talking about the base, all voters. Take away the R and the D. Take away the red and the blue, the conservative and liberal, the progressive, and the alt-right. Just everybody who has a chance to vote. We've let ourselves down. We've allowed these people to continually keep people in there that should never be there. We never hold anybody accountable the way that they should be held accountable. And then we get to the point where we're so divided that even if somebody's done something wrong, and by the way, you could probably go back over time to just about every president and find things that you could say, oh, yeah, how about this? Right? Look at what you've done. Cheney and Bush. Barack Obama want to get us out of wars? Hey, guess what? I'm going to bomb Libya and Yemen. We're having fun, kids. Who wants to bomb Syria? We're doing a good thing. I got a hit list. Right? You could start, well, that's absolutely true. Go look. Right? Look at all the stuff that was going on, the lies that we've been fed. The media plays the game as much as anybody else. But we continually do this. Then we fight amongst ourselves. And we argue amongst ourselves, and we keep people in power that have no right to be there. Is Donald Trump an upstanding, amazing human being? I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't know the guy. I have no idea what he is or isn't. I think what you see is what you get, which, let me tell you, is refreshing. Because all too often, what you see is never what you get when it comes to politicians. Never. Never. But we are at a point where we become so tribal and we pick on each other so much that even if somebody's in the wrong, whether it's Donald Trump or Adam Schiff, we want our side to do everything to fight against the other side. And who suffers? All of us, right? And we're robbing, in many ways, the Constitution and what it's given us. And it's frustrating. It is. Trump's not going anywhere. I mean, you can go after him maybe with the emoluments clause, right? Did he enrich himself while president? You can do some of those things. But then they'll never do that, because if they do that, then they're going to start scrutinizing everybody else that works in politics in a real way. Hey, Nancy, how much money are you worth again? What's your husband do? Does he have any contracts? I mean, I'm just curious, you know? I mean, what, you know? Hey, Biden, we do have to ask a question about your kid and a few other things, right? How did you get this kind of money before? Where was this? Those are questions that are very fair to ask. So they're never going to do something like that. And the reality is Trump is a whooping stick. He's a bull in a china store that runs around and he breaks a bunch of crap, even stuff that he doesn't want to break, he breaks. And at the same time, though, everybody points it out. That's what he did. Yet the bull in the china store before that did the same damn thing. But nobody pointed it out. And we buy into it. And the media loves the fact that we're fractured and we're fighting with one another. They love that. We have issues in this country, right? We have issues when it comes to choice and religion and the battle that goes on there. We have issues when it comes to the LGBT community. We have issues when it comes to race. We've got a lot of things, but the reality is they're not as big as people seem to make them out. And we've got a ton of issues that on the surface, they look huge. The problem is we never dive deeper in the surface. We just stay right there. We just stay right there. It gets old, kids. It gets old. I'm going to follow this thing. I'm going to cover it. I'm going to give you some fun stuff. We're going to make fun of it as we go along, because the reality is this is going to end, and then we're going to have a race to see who the president's going to be. Is Donald Trump going to hold serve, or is somebody else going to be taking over? Right? That's real. I mean, think about this for a second. The whole Russia thing. We sat here, and for months and a year and a half plus, they battled Russia. They talked about Trump and all of this stuff. But let's just remember, all the while that was going on, one of the parties, the Democratic Party, did everything they could to screw over one of their own, because somebody else who lived in the system, helped create the system, and was the queen of the system didn't like what he was all about and hated the fact that he was nowhere near part of the establishment, and he was annoying. Yeah, we can't talk about that, right? Because that's not right. It's a game. One thing about Trump is he came into the system and he stomped all over it. That's why people liked him. That's why people still do like him. They didn't send him there to be, a saint, right? The second coming. They knew exactly who he is and what he was all about. But when we sit here, we talk about this is all about Trump. For a lot of people, in particular on the left, this is about Trump as a person because they think he's a vile person. And even if he didn't win at that point in time, everything that had been exposed, everybody thinks he's a vile, horrible, horrible person. It's not about the politics of it all. The politics of it all are the standard politics that we see on a daily basis. The difference is it's magnified and it's good business. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Man, I took a nap. I went and laid down, so I got this, so I'm doing all the shows, right? So I got the morning show, and I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm up early, I go to bed late, and get about 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep if I'm lucky, and I try to parse those out in certain things. So I put my Raycons on. So they've got my little office over here now, and I've got one of those big, giant, it's not it's a love bag. It's like a bean bag that's massive. It's a blob, but it's so soft. Oh, my Raycons on, listening to an audiobook, and slowly but surely it was out, and it was just so amazing. And you know what I love about it? It's the isolating fit, because after a few minutes, I just set my little timer, and then nothing was playing. But I like the fact that it was comfortable, and it was noise isolation. Oh, it's amazing. Raycons are incredible. So the E25s, love them. Amazing colors, great style, 6 hours playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and the compact design. Will love it. Again, doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're listening to an audiobook or like me, just relaxing in there, and I barely anything. It's great for phone calls, on-the-go listening. You are going to love these things. No wires, no stems, none of that stuff. Charges fast, and I'm telling you guys, you're going to be obsessed with them like Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, Melissa Etheridge, and so many more. Get yours now. Save huge. Already half the price of all those other big brand names out there, and you're going to save 15%. Check them out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go check them out. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad, buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you. That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable. This is Chad Benson.
So, the other day, there was an incident. Airplane had an issue. They dumped fuel. Landed on some school kids. It was awful.
They were like, teacher, like, are we okay? And I'm trying to calm them down. And at the same time, I'm like feeling dizzy. And it was very, very traumatic.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be. Now, they dumped it very low. Normally, if they're going to dump fuel, they do it at a much higher altitude, and it basically burns itself off. And they dumped the fuel. Kids thought it was rain. Southern California. So you knew, this was, the lawsuits were ready to roll. So if you're going to bring somebody in, who do you bring in? Gloria Allred, and she's ready to roll.
Their severe emotional distress includes the reasonable fear that the exposure to and ingestion of jet fuel might produce serious health consequences in the future.
And I just told the guys, the families are pissed and they're upset and maybe a little bit worried. And they know they're going to get paid. Chad, that's not very nice. It's true. They're going to get paid. What do you think? But what do you think? Let's say a roundabout number of what this could be. Because I saw the court overturn was it the Johnson & Johnson today from like $8.6 billion to like $6.3 billion. 6.3 million, some ridiculous amount down to virtually nothing. So I'm thinking each kid gets $100K, but with Gloria Allred coming in now, $500,000 each.
I think you're right about $100,000 because most of it is going to go to the lawyers.
Yeah, after everything's said and done. So that's It's just nuts. That's crazy. But Gloria Allred, I'm like, were any of the teachers assaulted? Chad? Oh, goodness. So we have my uncle on once in a while talk about tech stuff. Well, Paul, when we were kids growing up, he lived next door to a giant nursery that sprayed him one time with a bunch of stuff. And this was back in the early 80s. And I just remember they gave him like $10,000 or $15,000 back then to not have a lawsuit. He got really sick, but it wasn't like nobody thought he was going to die. So, but it was, and you know what I thought as a kid? I was like, God, he's so lucky. But and they offered him the money. That was funny. This society though today is so nuts. So all of us, if you think about how many times as a kid growing up or through the years, going back to the 70s, that something happened to you that if it happened today would have been insane. So when I was a kid, I have to tell this story, and it takes a setting up to tell it. But let's just say this. This involved my friend and I when we were selling stuff for the Boy Scouts, and it was just insane. You're going to want to hear this because I talked to him a couple weeks ago about this. We still talk about this to this day. And if you think about all of the things that go on today comparatively to back in yesteryear, you would be like, nuts. There's just no way. Like, I wouldn't even know what he would have gotten today. But we'll talk about that because this is really interesting. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, Anthony and Phil, his name was Gavin O'Hearley, and he was Chuck from Happy Days. We were trying to figure out who he was, whatever happened. Remember Happy Days? Chuck, the older brother? Nobody ever talked about him. Went upstairs, never came down. Disappeared. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Our lawsuit alleges that the Delta pilot notified air traffic control personnel of the need for the aircraft to return to Los Angeles International Airport, but the pilot did not inform air traffic personnel of any need to dump fuel in order to lighten the plane for landing.
There you go. Gloria Allred right there. So lawsuit's going to come from this. We're trying to guess about how much. And I just said, it's so crazy how fast things go, right? Like now we're talcum powder and like on television at night from about 11 till God knows, what hour, right? It's just nonstop infomercials for lawsuits. And I look back because we live in this total safety bubble now, right? Like this super safety bubble of should we or shouldn't we? It's like, should we allow a kid to go across the street or shouldn't we? We've never been in a better time in the history of mankind. We've never been in a safer time. And, I mean, when we were kids, we did all kinds of stuff. When there was a lot more crime and danger, but now it's less crime, less danger, and less opportunity to do stuff. Hey, kids, you guys need to have friends, but you're not allowed to go outside. I'll pick your friends and when you could play with them. You need to really go outside and work out, but you can't do that, so you need to do it out back by yourself. It's nuts. But lawsuits are a huge part of it. So I was saying, as, Gloria Allred is doing her thing. When I was younger, much younger, I was in the Boy Scouts. And so we were selling, so it was my best friend Raymond and his little brother Jimmy. By the way, they're uber progressive. It's this day, and I love arguing politics with them and stuff. To this day, they're amazing. And we grew up together in this nice little quaintish neighborhood in Long Beach, California. And so, So, like, every bad thing that ever happened that was funny in Raymond's life happened in front of me. Like, just crazy. So we were selling stuff. So you go around, right? Like back in the day, you go, and we couldn't have been more than like, I think Ray and I are like 8, maybe 9, and Jimmy's like 7, 6 or 7. So we're in the same, we're all in the Boy Scout and Cub Scout, thing. And so you'd knock on the door and then, hey, would you like to buy? I don't know what we were selling back then. And then the next one, so we were rotating houses. So we're all rotating houses. So I go to one, Raymond go to one, Jimmy go to one. I went to one, we're halfway down the street. Raymond's turn, he goes to knock on the door. Out of the door, like it's a screen door, back when there were just regular screen doors, comes a pit bull mix. And it tears him to shreds. Now, we start kicking it, and then we just run because it's not doing anything. It's looking at us, and we're little, and we're terrified. He got 100, 150 sutures in certain places throughout his body. In today's world, that dog would have been destroyed. That house would eventually have been Raymond's. It would have been lawsuits galore. She baked him a cake and apologized, and the dog was fine. Never did anything. It's just a different world. So now it's opportunity. Right? Gloria Allred's out there. She knows she's getting paid. Right? Like these kids, they may never learn. It may be too late for them to survive. So for that, we need $700 million and free Delta flights everywhere. What do you bet that OBJ the other day slapped that security guard, police officer, whatever it was, in the butt? I feel like I'm waiting for a lawsuit, right? Well, he's got tons of money. It's a perfect thing to do, lawsuit. Shouldn't he? Shouldn't it be? Is there a lawsuit? Absolutely, probably. Right? There's always and sometimes, you know what? That's the only way you can get anybody to pay any attention to you. That is the only way. And that's sad. That's also a sad thing. Right? Case in point, here's another airline story, and this one's not a good one.
Her flight from San Diego to Chicago. I am on board now. Are you going to Chicago too? Ahmad asked.
Scary, very creepy. I felt extremely violated.
This airline passenger was waiting to board a flight when she received a strange text on her cell phone. Hey, Ashley, how are you? 34-year-old Ashley Barno didn't recognize the phone number. Moments later came this. You are looking very gorgeous in that gray top today.
I'm just looking around and trying to figure out who is watching me.
Yeah. So she gets on an airplane. She's sitting there. Blink. What's this? Boop. What's this? Do I know you? What is this all about again?
Ashley says her anxiety grew when the man texting her claimed to work for American Airlines. He said his name was Ahmad. It was about to get even creepier after Ashley boarded her flight from San Diego to Chicago. I am on board now. Are you going to Chicago too? Ahmad asked. Yep. He was on board the same plane, and he was watching her as she filed past him on her way to her seat.
I was already scared prior, but that made it even worse because we're going to be together on an enclosed plane for 4 hours.
Yeah. That's whoa. So you got a guy sending you pictures on an airplane. Now, I would have done this. Stay away from me, blocking your number. That's it. Apparently she didn't want to. I would have reported to the powers that be. Somebody on this airplane says they work for you guys, and they've got my name, and they're sending me, stuff, and I want that to stop and, go from there. And then block the number.
You want to sit next to me? Ahmad asked. What's your seat number? Ashley says she'd had enough. She texted back, not okay, not cool. Okay, it's up to you, but friendship with me will be very beneficial for you. I can always give you good seats, access to the lounges, and free flights too. In total, Ashley says she received 100 texts from him during the 4-hour flight, including sexually suggestive images.
Which, again, I've never understood that. The whole sexually suggestive image. I will talk to, we've got a bunch of young girls here. We've got a couple of ladies who are a little bit older. And one of them, she's she's not old, but she's a little bit older than me. And she's talking about dating the other night because she's talking to some of the young girls, talking about like the websites they're going to. And like, I'm on Hitch and I'm on this and I'm on the Flip Flop and Fliggity Flu and all these things. And she says, never in my life that I would think I get a lot of wiener pictures. And I just thought to myself, who does that? Now, if you're in a relationship and okay, I could see, but it's like, that's like a business card nowadays. And to do that on an airplane with somebody is just insane, but it's not over.
Ashley Barno says she showed the text messages to a flight attendant who recognized the American Airlines employee and told Ashley this wasn't the first time he'd done this. When the plane landed in Chicago, he was escorted off, but how had he gotten the passenger's name and cell phone number in the first place?
Ahmad admitted that he'd spotted her information on her luggage tag.
Not only did he get my name and phone number, he got my home address as well.
Ashley is suing American Airlines for negligent hiring, and she's suing the man for sexual harassment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Then I started thinking, okay, what did she get? Like, would that go through your mind, Phil, in a situation? Like, this is something I think is really... So let's say you get on an airplane and somebody starts harassing you and you tell them to stop. Sometimes I think to myself, would you just tell them to stop, put it into it immediately and block the number? Or would you think, well, this is going to continue to go on. I'm going to get paid.
I know
I'm going to get paid. Yeah, right? Like, I'll see how long this goes on. I'll get paid. That's it. And I often wonder, it's like, do people put themselves in other positions? Like, this was awful, but you could have reported it immediately, even gone to the point where you say, you know what, you better turn the plane around, and or I'm going to throw a big stink, and we're going to get the police on here. If this doesn't, I feel like if you want to, you can. But then sometimes I think, this guy's an idiot. And she's going to get paid now, and she should get paid. But shouldn't she have blocked it earlier? I've got a block feature. Right? Just thinking. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Horrible situation in Iran, still getting worse and worse, and they're having a lot of you look at what's going on over there and how it's breaking down, but on top of that, we have got a situation where we've got some issues with some of our soldiers that wasn't good, that wasn't reported on. 11 or so of our soldiers have suffered a concussion from the shelling, and this wasn't reported originally.
The military says the decision to evacuate the service members was made out of an abundance of caution, and they are expected to return to duty. But there are very specific protocols in the military for traumatic brain injury, where the brain is essentially shaken and can be very serious.
Yeah, and this is just like football, right? Enough concussions now magnify that by like a whole season's worth in 1 second. That's a tough thing, and they've got 11 of them, a couple of them very serious concussions, and they can go on forever. Like, a lot of us, we've suffered a concussion here or there. We've hit our head a few times here or there. I suffered a couple playing soccer. My little brother, though, Tristan, he gave up hockey as a profession last year or earlier this year because the doctor just said you can't do it anymore. Right, like you already weren't the sharpest tool. Then you add on, the last one he had was weeks inside of a bedroom in pitch black, dizzy all the time, sick. It was not good, and he's like, I'm out. Right, like I'm, and now it's there's nothing you can do. And this, you couldn't even imagine what a shelling's like. It's one thing to get hit, like in a hockey game or baseball, but imagine a shelling like that. And why it took so long for us to find out, that's curious as well. Speaking of soldiers, I work with an amazing organization called Wounded Paw. They're incredible. What they do is they rescue animals like dogs, amazing dogs, that are in shelters that would essentially be euthanized. And they identify them, and the people at the shelter will say, hey, Wounded Paw, we've got this dog here, and we think this would be perfect for you. Now, sometimes the dog's a little bit older. And these dogs, they take them and they do what everybody says you can't do. They take them from shelter dogs, turn them into service dogs, and they get them to our first responders, their families, and veterans like those right there who need something, and something that absolutely changes lives, not just for the person receiving them, but also for the animal. Their mission is so easy. It's incredible. Let's connect our furry best friends with our nation's heroes. Let's save a paw to save a life. You can help. Take action today. Turn an extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a vehicle for change. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. You can give. Great tax-deductible gift. They take cash as well. Look for yourself. WoundedPawProject.org, WoundedPawProject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW, 844-678-4729, or WoundedPawProject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
What happened to Bad Boys for Life? It's looking like a good weekend for Bad Boys. The Will Smith, Martin Lawrence sequel Bad Boys for Life might earn close to $50 million over the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, showing there's still a lot of love for the bickering detectives 17 years after the last film. And if you're looking for something for the family,
you can talk to animals.
Robert Downey Jr. stars in Doolittle, featuring the voices of Emma Thompson, Selena Gomez, and more. That's looking at a more modest $20 to $25 million opening, which won't make much of a dent in its reported $175 million budget.
Ooh. Probably $250 million when you add everything else in, right? So you got the production budget. That's $175 million. So that's everybody. That's craft services, all the way up to the extras, all the way up to the actors, the directors, all of that stuff. Then you have to promote the movie. So when you look at a budget and they say it's $150 million, usually you could double that. Oh, that's nuts. So, yeah, they're going to take a bath on this one. Maybe if they're lucky, they'll come close to break even worldwide. That's a big luck, though. And that's going to be tough. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. TikTok.
If you're watching videos on your phone, there's a really good chance you're watching short ones on the app TikTok. Use of the video sharing app jumped 375% in the U.S. last year to 85 million hours. And that's watching videos that are capped at 15 seconds from content creators like Zach King.
Wait a minute. No, don't touch that.
The app Any State of Mobile report says people spent more time on TikTok than other popular video streaming services like Amazon Prime Video and HBO.
Yeah, TikTok is huge. And I got to start getting into it. I watch some of it. My son loves it. All the kids love it, and they're into TikTok, and I've seen some of it, but it is exploded. And now you can even go a little bit longer, because what you do is you stream or string like 3 or 4 TikToks in a row, so you can do like 60 seconds. So that's just huge. It's huge, massive. But then I say, well, hold on a second. Isn't it a Chinese company? And the last time I checked, they're trying to take over the world. Yeah. ByteDance or BitDance. They were founded in 2012. This is the crazy thing. They only launched in 2017. So within 2 years, they exploded to the point where they are now. Alexa rank, which that's who they rank, as far as apps and whatnot. Videos, has now 634. I wonder what their market share is. But they're Chinese. What's that mean? Are they following you? They're getting to our kids. They're getting to our kids. They've been banned briefly in places like India. I've already had some class action lawsuits in California. But it's interesting. It is. And this is my thing, too. And maybe you'll answer me this question, Phil, because you're more in the music side of things. If the like on YouTube, when you use certain things, if you're doing something, like especially a song that's copyrighted, you get in trouble. But TikTok has music all over it. Is it the Chinese just don't care?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, probably. They're probably looking at you going, 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. Text the program as well. Love hearing from each and every one of you. Earlier today at the White House, President welcomed LSU. Had a little fun.
We'll take pictures behind the Resolute desk. It's been there a long time. A lot of presidents. Some good, some not so good. But you got a good one now. Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a... Can you believe that?
Drives you crazy, but he makes you laugh, right? Can we just be honest? Drives you crazy, makes you laugh. 323-538-2423. I guess I'll have to get a TikTok. So I can go at Chad Benson Show Twitter, at Chad Benson Show Instagram, at Chad Benson Show TikTok. Oh, my God. Just running out of stuff. You're going to have to get 4 cards to put all your stuff on. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You love President Trump.
I loved him. I mean, when the FBI came to my house to raid him, my wife felt embarrassed because they said I had a shrine to him. I mean, I had pictures all over. I mean, I idolized him. I mean, I thought he was the savior.
Did you think you were friends?
Absolutely. I mean, again, I went from being a top donor, from being at all the events where we would just socialize, to becoming a close friend of Rudy Giuliani's, to eventually becoming his ally and his asset on the ground in Ukraine.
Yeah, okay, slow your roll, because you also said that, no, we weren't really friends. I mean, we didn't eat hot dogs or watch football together, Lev Parnas. But it is funny because Trump's like, I don't know him. I've never seen him before. And then, like, the memes and, you know, there's like a picture of him, like, delivering Barron, and I've never seen this guy before. I don't even know anything about him. You guys are full of lies. Oh, who's excited for impeachment? Anybody? Nobody's excited for impeachment. I think it's going to be Trump's got himself a new legal team today. He threw that out there.
As expected, White House counsel Pat Cipollone and President Trump's personal attorney Jay Sekulow will take the lead in defending the president in the Senate impeachment trial. Also playing roles in the defense, former independent counsel Ken Starr, who led the investigation into Bill Clinton, and Starr's former deputy Robert Ray. Defense attorney and Trump ally Alan Dershowitz will also participate. All three, Starr, Ray, and Dershowitz, are frequent guests on Fox News.
Yeah, so that matters. Does that matter where they are? What if they were on CNN? You know, that liberal hack place. So this is what's probably going to take place next week, because everybody wants to know, are they going to do more stuff? Are they going to bring more people here? And so we can look at the evidence.
Do you think the Senate should consider new evidence as part of the Senate trial that has come out?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because that's not our job. The job is to respond to what we've been given in the case that was built by the House. They've given us 2 very weak articles of impeachment. Our job is to look at what they brought us and decide if that rises to the level of impeachment.
There you go. And I agree, right? That's Senator David Perdue, Republican, Georgia. I agree. Your job is to sell it. You've got everything there. Who are you going to bring that's new? The only person I think that, maybe, the Bolton thing is possible. But what's Bolton going to do? And this is something that I think people need to understand. As frustrated you are because you want him gone, or as frustrated you are because you think that this is a giant, huge hoax, as Trump calls it. The reality is we have this system set up so we can protect our country, our freedoms, who we are. And at the same time, our big fear from our founding fathers is they're like, all right, we're going to set this thing up. But God, I hope people don't use politics to get rid of people they don't like. And that's a worry thing that a lot of people, somebody like myself, worries that that's where we're headed to in the future. Because we become tit for tat. And I don't like that. I don't think you don't like that. I don't think there's going to be anybody new called. He wants it quick, done, fast. I don't think anybody... I mean, I look at this thing and I think to myself, what else? I mean, I don't know how many times you could say something and people aren't getting it, or they just don't care, or it wasn't funny, or they don't speak the language, whatever it is. Like you shouting it louder, you slowing it down, you drawing a picture. It's just, at some point in time, this is what it is. And I think that's a lot of what a lot of people are thinking here now. And if you are the Democrats, you also say to yourself, okay, let's take a look at this for real. We have 3 senators who are running for president that are still in the mix, rated in the top 5. 2 of them have a real shot. We have the other guy who's sitting at the top, that if we start bringing people in, the Republicans are going to bring him in and his son in, and this could damage him. It has gotten to this point. He will always be impeached. And at the same time, do we really want to get to the point where we drag this thing on and it damages us potentially long term by hurting Biden, maybe even more, and making it almost untenable for him to be there, and maybe exposing something else, and taking 3 people off the campaign trail? That you have to start weighing the options and what's the better option for you and your party. That's real, you know? That's a very, very real thing if you are a Democrat that you're weighing. And when you're talking to Chuck Schumer, and Nancy's probably saying, look, Chuck, I didn't probably want to do this, but here we are, and here it goes, and the base wants this, and let them be pissed at the Republicans. They want to talk anymore, because if we make this thing a long, drawn-out thing, Mitch might say, fine, let's draw this thing out. Let's make this thing 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. Let's make this thing so bad that somebody like Bloomberg comes in, somebody who's not part of the establishment, and sneaks on in. Is that what everybody wants? Right? So this will be interesting to see how hard Chuck will say it in public, but privately, what do those conversations look like? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Today, White House.
It's really my great privilege to welcome to the White House the college football national champions, the Louisiana State University Tigers.
The Tigers. Now, we couldn't have a tiger sighting without the Tiger of Tigers.
Thank you, President Trump. What an honor to be here at the White House. I speak on behalf of our football team and our great assistant coaching staff. I do have the best organization in the world, one team, one heartbeat. You guys did it. You guys set out on a plan last year, January 17th, that you were going to win the national championship. You never talked about it. You went about it through hard work, dedication. One team, one heartbeat. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers. Did you ever see The Waterboy, Phil?
No, I did not.
Well, there's a point in The Waterboy where Bobby Boucher, who was played by the fine actor known as Adam Sandler, who, by the way, I will say this, got robbed, I think, for Uncut Gems. But just throwing that out there. But in that, he doesn't know who his daddy is, and it's this crazy dude, and I do believe it is Ed Ogeron. Because he sounds kind of like him and everything. Go Tigers. Just want to say go Tigers. So, but Trump did manage to be funny there. So he gives the kids a little walk through the old magical world of the White House, shows him some stuff, and has to throw in a little something about himself.
We'll take pictures behind the resolute desk. It's been there a long time. A lot of presidents, some good, some not so good. But you got a good one now, even though they're trying to impeach the son of a. Can you believe that?
He's so funny. He's the worst, but funny at the same time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Super Beats. So today, like my workout is, I'm working out a lot, trying to make sure I get a ton of steps in. If I'm not running and stuff, I got a soccer game tomorrow. Played soccer a few times this week, hit the gyms a couple times. And I like to make sure that, because of my long schedule, and I try to tell everybody, my schedule is about 18 hours a day. From the time I wake up to the time I get home or get to my hotel, it's about 18 hours a day. And every once in a while, I need a little something, and that something comes in the form of Super Beats. Now, Beats are good for your heart. They're good for your circulation, right? Good for your blood pressure because they got the nitrates in them. Not always convenience. Super Beats now has made it convenient. They've got these new soft chews with a amazing new breakthrough ingredient called grapeseed extract from the Loire Valley in France. Now, that has clinically been shown to support healthy blood pressure levels. And these things taste great. It's easy. So when you need a little pick-me-up, especially in the middle of the day, or maybe you're going to go for a workout, take a couple of these, boom, and away you go. Right now, you can save big. You can boost your heart health easily and on the go with Super Beats soft chews. And when you buy 2 bags, you can throw a third one in for free. That's simple. Go to superbeatsradio.com/Chad. 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 Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? So much stuff. Quiet day. A lot of politics. A lot of political stuff trending in the world of politics. There's a lot of stuff. Let's head over first to Twitter. Football, too. NFL, lots of stuff there. We're getting to that point where we no longer can say the word Super Bowl, right? Where they start coming after you now, and you have to say the big game. I should, Phil. That's what we need to do. We need to copyright the big game.
The superb owl.
That's right. The Oopernoel. Oh my goodness! Friday night trending everywhere because it's Friday night. Chris Collins. You don't know him? Former politician who had some insider trading issues, and for that, he has been sentenced to 24 months in jail, 26 months in jail. Yeah, Republican from Schenectady. He was very upset in court. He wept. He wept in court. Congressman Lou is trending in lieu of humor. So they've got a lot of stuff that they're releasing going after Devin Nunes. Remember Devin Nunes? Like, I've never met Les Parnett. Oh, yeah. Oh, you mean met? I thought you said Les. You mean Lev? Oh, yeah, I know that guy. Oh, God. You head on over to the Google. National Treasure 3 is in the works, along with Bad Boys 4. The Peacock streaming service. A lot of people are excited about that. Big time. I don't know. I've not bought one service for a show, but now that Family Guy has moved over to NBC, which has Hulu, and it's going to leave Fox, if they move that to the streaming service only, and that's the only way to see it, I may purchase that. Alan Dershowitz, because he's joining the team of Trump. And Betty White, because she turned 98 years young today. Let's talk about that with little old Betty White, right? She's been around for a bit. She shares her birthday with some other people that are famous, including Jim Carrey and James Earl Jones. He's got to be up there, too. What do you think James is? I'm going to say 84. 89. Oh, my
So
Lord.
close.
So close. So close, kids, but so far away. Let's hear some more about old Betty White. She was born Betty Marion White, January 17th, 1922. So let's just think this. The First World War was a few years past, and she was still well over a decade plus away from the Second World War. She was born in Illinois, moved to Los Angeles during the Great Depression. She got her first start on radio, but her first regular job was as co-host of Hollywood on Television, a variety show that aired 6 days a week in the 40s. She's beautiful, by the way. I mean, you look at her now, she's still, 98. She was married 3 times. Her third husband, Alan Lund, whom she met on Password, died before their 18th anniversary in 1981. She was originally cast as Man-Hungry Blanche on The Golden Girls, but they changed roles with Rue McClanahan. I love Betty White, right? She's an animal lover, been involved in all kinds of things, including working at the LA Zoo and the Morris Animal Foundation for over 40 years. She turned 98 today. Michelle Obama, happy birthday to you, former First Lady. Still looking good. Out there doing her thing. I'm super excited about football this weekend. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pumped. This is going to be a good weekend. I'm going to give you a breakdown of football stuff a little bit later. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. I got to be, we talk about like guns, the big rally and what's going on in Virginia, and you've got all of these things that are happening in guns, and we worry about guns, but the flu's still nasty, and we're in the midst of the season. The good news:
influenza-like illness was high in 32 states in the second week of January, but the number of cases were down from the previous week. It's still unclear if the flu season has peaked. Dr. George Champus with Northwestern Medicine says people still need to protect themselves by washing hands, covering coughs, and getting the flu shot.
It's passed through the air, whether you're coughing, you're sneezing. It could be on your laptop, on tables.
The CDC estimates 13 million people have come down with the flu this season. There have been more than 6,000 deaths. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
Yeah, that's huge. That's like 6,000 deaths. That's amazing. I mean, that is, when you think about it, like we talk about all this other stuff, but it's something as simple as the flu that kills so many people. And it's nuts. You're like, whoa, that's it. And the best thing to do is wash your hands, right? Don't touch your eyes. Like you try to but you don't think about that. Like, oh yeah, wash your hands and you do this, that, and the other. The best thing to do is to hide. Just hide, just shelter in place. Get a lot of snacks. Don't touch anything. Don't let anything touch you. And then get a Silkwood shower. Remember, was it Silkwood? Everywhere you go. That flu is nasty, though. We had a couple people around here at it, and then one of them came down with pneumonia, which is another virus. But it's like, it's that's weird last week, that ESPN guy who passed away at like 34, the announcer and reporter, and they thought he died of pneumonia. And when they did the autopsy, he had cancer. They had no signs of it. They just thought he had pneumonia, and it was in his lungs, and it spread. That's, wow. Talk about it. Quick. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Over the long holiday weekend, House managers and the president's defense team are expected to work around the clock following the initiation of President Trump's impeachment trial Thursday. The Senate has issued a formal summons for President Trump. His lawyers are expected to respond by Saturday. The House managers appointed by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will prosecute the case. Meanwhile, the White House has beefed up its defense team to include attorneys Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr. It will be the first time the White House will present its official defense as to why the president should not be removed from office.
You know who should be the president's lawyer? This guy.
Thank you, President Trump. What an honor to be here at the White House. I speak on behalf of our football team and our great assistant coaching staff. I do have the best organization in the world, one team, one heartbeat. You guys did it. You guys set out on a plan last year, January 17th, that you were going to win the national championship. You never talked about it. You went about it through hard work, dedication. One team, one heartbeat. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Ed Ogeron, LSU, at the White House. Wouldn't it be great, though, if he was? Adam Schiff, let me ask you a question. I got to ask you this right now. Yeah, absolute proof. This man right here did this. Just scare the crap out of everybody. Like, I'm scared. Wearing a purple shirt with no tie. Just screaming at the top of his lungs. Spittle running everywhere. Drinking just slamming 6 Red Bulls. Also wearing sunglasses on top of his head. That's your attorney? I don't even know what he's doing here. Next Tuesday, who's excited, huh? Is everybody excited? Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be. This is what I'm not going to do. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. I'm going to cover it. We're going to talk about some of it, but we're not going to spend all day on it. The stuff that matters, we're going to be all over. The other stuff where people are grandstanding, I want any part of that. I just don't. There's nothing about that seems remotely intriguing to me. It feels like we know where this is going, and there are other things that people in America are concerned with. You know, the crazy cost of medicine. Here's the insanity of medicine, all right? So I have my prescription that I take. I'm a little ADD. I don't know if you guys know this. If I go to any of the pharmacies, right, because my copay is ridiculous, but this is how silly this is. So I can go to any of the pharmacies. If you were to pay cash for it, it's like $150. But this pharmacy over here, it's $170. This pharmacy's $220. I go to Costco, it's like $19, lower than my copay. Why? People want to know. Like, people have real questions about this. Is what Americans are talking about. This is what, like, Americans are saying to themselves, I want choice with my health care. And at the same time, I don't want to go bankrupt. I want transparency. Why? What aren't people understanding? Because the game is being played and they're all in on it. The one thing that even people who didn't like Trump and didn't vote for Trump said after he was voted in, well, I hope he can expose the nasty system in there, right? Not the people that were deranged all the time and thought the next day that we're all going to nuclear war and it was over and stuff. Not the people that just were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and continue to be so on a daily basis. And not the people that had sold their souls and will do anything for Trump no matter what. I'm talking about this, the average person that maybe didn't vote for him or maybe did because they held their nose and said, well, it's better than the alternative. We're hoping, well, it's a shakeup, right? The establishment caused Trump. The crazy lunacy that we have in this politically correct world also played a huge factor. Every time I see somebody who gets in trouble for something completely stupid, right? Because they said something and 7 years ago, now it's, hey, remember that thing you tweeted 8 years ago? Yeah, it was funny then and nobody cared, but now you're in trouble for it or whatever. Every time I just say, this is why Trump. Trump is their whooping stick. He's their pushback. He's all of those things. But I want to see, like, yeah, you went there. Producer Phil, you said it the other day. You couldn't watch when he was in Toledo, wherever he was. It was just, it's ridiculous, and it's kind of becoming just a circus show. But you said the guy that came down that elevator that day, where's that guy?
That's exactly what I said. That's the Trump that I want.
Yeah. And I agree. But he gets in there, and like everybody else, he finds out how corrupt the system is, how rigged the system is, and how little that you and I can do as a singular person. And collectively, it's still tough to get people to do stuff. Because too many people are ignorant, have their head in the sand, and then there's a lot of other people that either just given up and don't care or are so busy with other things. So we're going to follow it. We're going to cover it. But know this, it is a giant game, right? This is what it is. They're playing it out, right? This is the Globetrotters versus the Generals, and they already know what the score is going to be. Even if the Generals get close, they've been told you better back off. It's sad, very sad, but absolutely true. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We pivot. He's got to leave his house.
Board is sympathetic.
Melody Passmore reacting to that HOA letter telling her that her orphan grandson must be out by this summer.
It's amazing how one rule is more important than one person's life.
The 15-year-old lost both his parents 2 weeks apart while living in California.
We didn't plan this. We didn't go out all of a sudden one day and say, hey, let's have Clay kill himself and let's have Bonnie die and we'll take Colin in. And to heck with the HOA. It's not the way it was planned.
So grandma and grandpa took the grandson in, right? Mom and dad are dead. That, first of all, now all of a sudden, take away all of that stuff, right? Because I look at somebody like my mom who has been saddled with my nieces and nephews who are now my brothers and sisters, and it's just like, whoa, I mean, my God, it's insane, right? So didn't plan on it. But they live in an over 55 community, and there's a rule. They're not gonna bend that rule at all. And you sit back and you say to yourself, well, that's awful. But you know what? That's the rule that they have. And I understand look, some of the HOA crap is ridiculous. Like, hey, your trash can's got to be in by 11 o'clock in the morning. He's like, well, I'm at work. Well, then you're going to get a fine. Well, that's stupid. Right? This I kind of get, it's like this is an over 55 community. And this is their rule. Now, could they be a little bit better in the way that they handled things? Yeah, I think they could. Could they say, we want you out, but turn a blind eye? They could do that. Or they could just be a-holes.
Colin Claybaugh's grandparents live in a 55-plus community when they opened their doors to their grandson at the gardens at Willow Creek in Prescott.
He's no danger to the old people that live here. And I'm sorry, I think most of them that are lipping off are old people.
The HOA letter to the Passmores, it says the board must balance the interests of all parties involved, not just the Passmores.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what it is, too. Man, my grandmother, so when she moved to not an older community, but just a regular, condo. She downsized. She had a huge house, and then it was just her and my aunt, and they downsized into a smaller, easier to maintain because it was just so, you get to the point where it's like, I don't know if I need 3,500 square feet, there's two of us, and so they moved into a smaller house. And it was this cool condo, Southern California, beautiful near the beach. It was amazing. But there were two people that were on the board. Like every time I'd go over there with my grandma and them. And, it's summertime. We're going to go swimming. They've got to go down to the community pool. There was this lady, this German lady. She was the worst person. After 2 years, you know who I am. You've seen me here 1,000 times. You know who I am. You see me. And they wield their power inside of those things because it's them getting even with the world. Oh, this lady was so awful, right? Like my grandma's like, I'm about ready to move. And then then that person starts to what? Wield their power, scare people inside of the community because they're on the board and they're doing this. And after my grandma died years later, my grandfather moved in there. He sold his big house and he moved in there. And she and her husband were still on the board, and he ran against him and beat him because everybody had had enough of them, but they were all scared. And my grandpa, he didn't give a rat's ass.
Just seems so heartless that even though we've explained our whole situation and everything, it has to be the rule that dictates everything. It can't be, someone's life.
The lawyer for the HOA tells us the youngest someone living here can be is 19. They also say if they don't enforce this rule, it could set the HOA up for legal trouble.
I've stepped in things that I find nicer than you people.
I'm not quite sure what the legal side of it is, but that's also another thing, right? Like, you've set up all these things, and it is it's nuts. It's nuts. It really is. Just crazy. I don't know where I was. I lived in Palm Springs, and when I was out there for several years, I moved into this place. I had this nice casita, and I was just moving out there, and I didn't know where to live, and I said, I'm like, my friend's like, hey, this guy that I know, he has a casita. She was a realtor. And she says, this guy I know has a casita. It's for rent, and it's really nice, totally detached. It's like your own little apartment. And, I said, well, I'll stay there for a couple months. And I ended up staying there like 6 years. And then producer Anthony, after I left, stayed there for about a year or so. But the HOA, you would be stopping by the house and park your car in the front yard, and you'd have a ticket on it. I'm going to be here for 15 minutes. Oh, you should have parked there. You're like, wow, that was nuts. I don't know. It was nuts. But I will say, Christmas time and even at night when you'd pull in, it was so clean. It felt like I was in the back lot of a movie. That's how clean and eerie it was. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of cars, Car Shield, get yours before it's too late. And when I say it's too late, because by the time you realize you need it, right? Better to have than not need, than not have. And with Car Shield, you get it. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. The shop is the shop that you choose. And guess what, kids? They get them paid directly. You pay a small deductible, and away you go. And it's for newer cars. So you got a newer car, it doesn't have a warranty, and it's all electronics on the inside, and it's all of these things. Expensive that stuff can be, even a fuse or whatnot. Guess what? They cover that. Car like mine, a little bit older, not a ton of electronics, right? They cover anything that you need, from the engine to the electronics and everything in between. Get covered like I did. Call them up. Tell them exactly what you're looking for. 800-CAR-6000. 800-CAR-6000. Use my code Benson right there. That saves you 10%. Or go to carshield.com. Carshield.com. Code Benson is the code right there. Save you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
And then there were four.
Rodgers backs up, throws. Adams, touchdown!
Pressure on Garoppolo, steps up, steps away, and it is caught.
Mahomes with a touchdown pass. Tannehill, end zone, touchdown, Tennessee.
Rodgers, Garoppolo, Mahomes, and Tannehill all fighting to lead their teams to victory in the NFL playoffs to see who will win a coveted spot to play in Super Bowl 54 in Miami.
Yeah, so there are four left. Going to be a good weekend. We'll start with the NFC.
Green Bay Packers' Aaron Rodgers, the unstoppable one. The two-time MVP and future Hall of Famer already has one Super Bowl win under his belt. Rodgers faces off Sunday in the NFC title game against San Francisco 49ers' Jimmy Garoppolo, the understudy who spent the majority of his young career on the sidelines learning the ropes as Tom Brady's backup.
Yeah, so that'll be a good game. My prediction in that game, 49ers. Defense, they're going to get at him big time. the weapons that Aaron Rodgers has, right? You got Robert Lazar and you've got Devontae Adams and a couple other people. Adams is good, but outside of that, they don't really have anything. And a lot of smoke and mirrors. It hasn't been one of his great years. And they're here, though. I mean, they quietly ended up winning. You know, next thing you know, you look up and you're like, wow, they got 12 wins. And all of a sudden, they're a hell of a team. I mean, I'm not going to doubt that because they're in this position. But Niners have just so much. And their defense is beast. And they're healthy. I predict 49ers over the Packers. Let's head to the other side.
And in the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes, the upstart. At only 24 years old, the 2018 MVP is looking to become the second youngest quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. He'll take on the Tennessee Titans' Ryan Tannehill, the underdog, considered washed up when he was traded to Tennessee, instead becoming the league's top-rated passer this season, leading his team to Cinderella story wins throughout the playoffs, including beating the reigning champs, the New England Patriots.
Yeah, so look what the Titans have done. They beat the reigning champs and AFC's best in Baltimore. They do it one simple way. They hand the ball off to the truck. 235-pound Derrick Henry, who is as fast as anybody on the field, and he's a beast. And when you watch the football game, they wear teams down, the Titans do. Their defense, they don't do anything great, but they do everything good. But they wear teams down, and they keep you off the field, and then you get worn down. And then as the game gets later, you start to see players on the other team, as we would say in the world of sports, make business decisions when he's running at you at full steam by putting your hand kind of out there to try to stop a freight train. But at the end of the day, you got the best player in football if you're the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, right? And watching him play is awesome. He runs around and it's like backyard football. He's like, all right, you guys go here. You guys just run around until you get open, and so will I. And I'll drop back 20 yards instead of a 6 or 8 step drop. I'm going to drop back like 20 yards. I'll run around, and I'll fling it backwards between my legs, and then we'll go out, and nobody can stop us. It'll be closer than people think, but the Chiefs will get by, and then you will have a Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl that is setting up to be amazing with the front four beast 49ers taking on the high-powered, high-octane Chiefs. There you go. That's what you got, kids. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Want to give a big shout-out to my man Phil, who's been with me for such a long time since the show started. He's going to be with me in a different capacity. Starting Monday, we'll have Kara with us now. But, Phil, you've been with me since jump, brother. I love you. I can't thank you enough for being here. And I know we're still going to be working together and stuff, but it'll be in a different way. And, man, God bless you, and thanks for all you do.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We'll take pictures behind the Resolute desk. It's been there a long time. A lot of presidents. Some good, some not so good. But you got a good one now. Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a... Can you believe that?
I'll say this about Trump, right? Like, I'll say this. You can have all the disdain you want for the guy. Dude's funny. The guy's funny. That's him today. LSU, national champions. At the White House, getting a bunch of snacks, hanging out with the president, getting their picture taken. All of that stuff going on. It's still moving forward, kids. We call this thing impeachment. We got new stuff happening in impeachment, including a legal team that is, well, quite frankly, starting to become a little bit more famous.
As expected, White House counsel Pat Cipollone and President Trump's personal attorney Jay Sekulow will take the lead in defending the president in the Senate impeachment trial. Also playing roles in the defense, former independent counsel Ken Starr, who led the investigation into Bill Clinton, and Starr's former deputy Robert Ray. Defense attorney and Trump ally Alan Dershowitz will also participate. All three, Starr, Ray, and Dershowitz, are frequent guests on Fox News. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
And that matters, right? That matters. First of all, I don't think Dershowitz is a huge fan of Trump, right? I think what Dershowitz is, I think he thought a lot of this stuff was a bunch of crap and baloney and figured, hey, we're going to look at this thing in a much different way. And he came out of it and has said that. So automatically he's been, he's a forever Trumper. And I don't really buy that he's a forever Trumper. I just think he's a guy that looks at it like, I'm looking at the Constitution, and what is going on here is it feels like a bunch of crap. It does. It feels like a bunch of crap. Yesterday, Ted Cruz was out talking about all of the stuff that's going on out there and whether or not, look, we know where this is going, right? You get it. I get it. We all get it. We know exactly where this is going. And the question for a lot of people out there is, look, does Trump know about some of these things? Did he participate in some of these things? But does it actually meet the actual threshold of high crimes and misdemeanors, which, for all intents and purposes, is very vague? No matter what anybody says, you talk to 10 different constitutional lawyers, they're going to give you 10 different answers.
The reason the president will be acquitted, the reason the Senate will find the president not guilty, is on their face the articles of impeachment that the House of Representatives voted out. They don't meet the constitutional standard for high crimes and misdemeanors. And
that's, it's tough. They realize that. It's tough. And then the question is there going to be more? Is there going to be more witnesses? Is this just the beginning of we're going to have a whole new investigation? We're going to have a whole new everything, because that's what the Democrats would like, to bring everybody in the world up there. Everybody in the world up there, new people, new stuff, maybe even deliver new articles whilst this is going on.
Do you think the Senate should consider new evidence as part of the Senate trial that has come out?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because that's not our job. The job is to respond to what we've been given in the case that was built by the House. They've given us two very weak articles of impeachment. Our job is to look at what they brought us and decide if that rises to the level of impeachment.
Yeah. Does it rise to the level? Well, of course it does, Chad. He's the most corrupt individual in the history of individuals. He's a pain in their ass. Again, this has zero to do with Trump at this point in time. It has nothing to do with Trump, right? Trump is, put anybody in there. This is zero to do with Trump. They can't stand Trump. Let's not pretend that they can. They want nothing to do with him. Would they like to get him out? Yes. But look, go back and look at so much of what the last several presidents have done that you could have said, maybe we should get rid of this guy. Maybe we should get rid of the guy. Look at the world that's been created in D.C. and the amount of money that flows in and out of there. The corruption from all sides, because they're all big players. Hey, let's do Obamacare. Is there any way that all of these people here in the insurance industry can cruise on in and help us craft something that will benefit them, but they're going to bitch about the entire time? Because as long as that's going on, that'll be fantastic. Right? Hey, that's a great idea. Let's do this. Let's do that. You sit there and you think to yourself, it is such a game. Why they hate the guy is because if he was who I think he would like to be, in some cases, both sides would want him out. It's a game. You get there and you find out what the game's really like. But right now, the biggest game that's being played is, while politicians play a game that you don't know they're playing, right? Right? What's that? It's like 3-card Monty or the little pea in the underneath the shell game, right? While that's going on most of the time and everything else is getting done, the American public doesn't pay that much attention, thinks it's kind of funny, they move on with their lives. Now it's getting a little bit serious in certain cases because the person that they've sent there to play the game, they like him and they don't think it's cool that, and the other side hates him. So now it's about bases, right? Let me tell you something. If the Republican base didn't want Trump, Trump would be gone. If they didn't. If the Democratic base didn't care that Trump was in there, it's about the base. It's about you and I and nothing else, right? That's just it. If we cared enough that we could look at our politicians, but we all think the same thing, right? We think nepotism, corruption, it lives there. It is there. 24/7. 24/7 it's there. Whether it's the Cheneys of the world and all his buddies at, Raytheon and everywhere else that he's got, or whether it's, Obama and them crafting behind closed doors all of these, great things for the insurance companies and please. It's insane, right? It is. You know it. I know it. We all know it. But they hate Trump too and they have no choice, and they're being pushed in so many ways because the left side of the aisle as a base find him horrible, find him vile. And in many cases, has very little to do with any of the things that he's done. As far as, hey, you know what? They got a deal done. He did some stuff that pissed people off about immigration, but he's trying to deal with immigration. I don't like some of the stuff that he's done, but here's the reality. Both sides ignored it for years. That's not the way it works here, man. Let me tell you about the game, right? You keep your head down. You piss people off, right? The massive insurance company, the Wall Streets of the world, right? The big weapons manufacturer, you piss them off. What ends up happening? They come for you. Yo, buddy, let me tell you something. I always harken back to, look what happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger came in, they got rid of Gray Davis. A recall, they got Gray Davis out of there. I mean, he was just the worst. Oh, my God, here comes Arnold. Cross his soul. I'm in California's governor, right? First year and a half, he comes on in, does okay, runs on this whole new platform about all of this other stuff. In the midterms, every single union, everybody out there absolutely just undercuts him to the point where he's a different person and just awful. The second term, just the most useless. You thought he was a bad actor. He was a horrific governor. He was served. If we care, we look around and see what's really going on out there. Hold the people's feet to the fire that really matter. But right now, it isn't about Trump. The bases are battling each other. And it's more about his personality than in many cases his actions. But look what he did to Soleimani. When Obama took over, we were in 2 countries. When he left, we were in 7. He had as much a hit list as anybody else, for God's sakes. He was the droner-in-chief and the deporter-in-chief. You can start looking up all these things. Go look at the BS that Bush fed the world and the Cheney gang and all. I mean, just go look at so much of this crap. It's about a lot of other things. But the base itself, which keeps the Democrats in power as far as voters, they can't stand who he is as a person. And that is totally fine. But they ignore so many of the other things. Both sides are as corrupt as anything else. They both feed from the same trough. If one base flips sides to the other base as far as what needed to happen, you watch how things would go. At the end of the day, we need to remind everybody, we can be the flea that wags the tail that wags that dog. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Happy Friday. Hope you are doing well. Lightstream. So Christmas has come. Christmas is gone. That'll happen. But now the thing that comes isn't very Christmassy. While you're out doing the things that you were doing, you were spending money. Next thing you know, you look up and, oh my, credit card bills. You're paying 18, 19, 20% interest rate. You don't want to do that. Credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. That's what you want to do. Rates as low as 5.95% APR with autopay. You can consolidate your high interest rate loans. Average interest card APR is about 20%. So you can get fixed rate, right? It's not going to budge. There's no fees. You can apply right on your phone. It is so easy, and they're going to treat you absolutely right. So say bah humbug to high interest rates And hello, new year with lower interest rates and an amazing company working with you, Lightstream. Check them out and get a special interest rate discount right now. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREAM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Redacted! Redacted!
Stay tuned.
This is Chad Benson.
The military saying in a statement that while no U.S. service members were killed in the January 8th Iranian attack on Al-Assad Air Base, several were treated for concussion symptoms from the blast and are still being assessed. As a standard procedure, all personnel in the vicinity of a blast are screened for traumatic brain injury.
Yeah, so apparently we're finding out that 11 were injured for concussions. I mean, when people think about injuries, like, oh, were they lose limbs? Are they in life? But because of the blast, the shaking, the whole 9 yards, 11 have been treated for injuries. That just came out last night. Well, we lied. Did we lie or did we? I mean, again, we omit a lot of things. I don't trust a lot of what's going on, right? I don't trust that, this machine that we have that just prints money and it disappears and it goes over these places and all. I mean, it's crazy, and the disinformation that happens and the way that things. And remember this: you get mad at Trump all you want, but you go back and look at the Afghanistan papers that came out a couple months ago, talking about how our military had no idea, of what we were doing. It's like, all right, they're telling us, hey, things are going great, we're winning this, and they're like, we don't even know who we're fighting. Like, we don't. At times, we don't even know who we're fighting. You're saying we're winning, and we're like, winning what? What are we supposed to do? It's frustrating. Across the board, it's frustrating. Speaking of craziness in Iran.
This week, France, Britain and Germany triggered a so-called dispute mechanism in the Iran nuclear deal after Iran said it would scrap limits on enriching uranium, a response to the US's killing of its top commander, Qasem Soleimani. That could lead to new UN sanctions on Iran. Russia is strongly opposed to that, and Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov has now told state media if the European countries go ahead with the mechanism, then the chances of saving the Iran deal will vanish.
But they've been pushing these limits before, right? Remember old Chuck Schumer here? As much as everybody loves Chuck because he's going up against Trump, remember what he was against the deal when Obama and Kerry put it together. Why? Because he doesn't trust them. Nobody trusts them. I continue to go back and say, look at North Korea, right? You got Madeleine Albright over there. You got all this stuff going on. And, oh, my goodness, it's the 90s. And, oh, they're going to be great. And within a little while, they took the money and all the stuff, and they got what they wanted. And now look what we have in the Korean Peninsula. We have a mad family with nuclear weapons who every once in a while saber rattles to get what they want and holds everybody hostage once or twice a year. But what you would have if Iran got a nuclear weapon is 10 times worse, because I think they'd be more active in trying to figure out what to do with it. Right? Like, the fanaticism. I mean, you go look at North Korea is about survival. That's the way they look at it. It's about survival. Iran is about expansion. We'd have a different viewpoint of North Korea if they were, saying we're going to go over and we're going to expand, and then we're going to move out of this peninsula and we're going to go here and we're going to go look at Japan in a real way. This is much different. But I'm sorry, right? Like, I would love to have peace in the Middle East. It ain't happening. We could move out today. We could apologize to everybody on the way out. We could bow down. And by the time the door closed behind us, they'd be fighting and attacking each other, and it's just not in our lifetime. Does it get better at times? Yeah. Will it get worse at times? Yeah. But no, it's not what I just don't know what people think are going to happen there. And the fact that you think, oh yeah, we'll give Iran, we're going to give them the opportunity to show the world and come out of the political wilderness, and that thing was worth nothing. I applaud the effort, but the reality is it wasn't going to happen because there was always a sunset clause. So at some point in time, they were going to react and do something. And Boris Johnson's right. You say what you want about Trump, but the reality is people need to take a hard-line look at them. Because they have one thing they want to do. The people may not want it. They want other stuff. But it's the regime that does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You text the program as well. American Airlines came worst in ratings. And even worse is this story straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
And guess what? Sometimes the best defense is the so what defense, which is if everything the Democrats said is true, it's still not impeachable. If everything Les Parnas has said is true, it's still not impeachable. I mean, that's what this is about.
Hey, Phil, you know who that is? That's Rance Priskin.
That's my boy.
That's my boy. That's a Rance Priskin. That's Reince Priebus. We call him Rance Priskin because at the Republican National Convention out in Cleveland, we were out there. We were interviewing Don King, and he kept referring to him, who was at the time the head of the RNC, as Rance Priskin. Like, that's a totally made up name. I don't even think that person exists. Is it impeachable? Is it not impeachable? Right? What exactly is high crimes and misdemeanors? Who gets to? I mean, it's nuts, right? I mean, when you think about it, because you and I, we live in this world of X, Y, and Z, right? Like it's black, it's white, it's this, it's that, right? But high crimes and misdemeanors, because he ain't going to jail for anything. Oh yeah, that's right. He's not going to be going to jail for anything. So if you're not going to jail for anything, and there's nothing written in a book about it that says, hey, these are the things that that's what people have to realize, that it's so very vague and open to interpretation. What do you do? Right? Well, I don't like him. He's awful. Okay, that's fine. But, there's a lot of awful people. So, but what do you do for real? Like, how do we get to the point where we say, I mean, the emoluments clause might have been a better thing they could have gone after him for. But then you got to look at everybody for real, right? Across the board. Oh, yeah. So, I don't think anything's going to come out of this. And I will tell you this. If Trump wins again, and at this point in time, I do believe he is going to, I would not be surprised to see him impeached or brought up again. I would not be surprised. And the media will love it. They enjoy it. Remember, it's a business, right? It's a news business, but business is always in bold and capital letters. And that's everywhere. We all work in a business, right? Even a nonprofit is a business. Call it what you want. It is.
As a student of American history, people are going to be studying this for a long time.
Just the ceremony of it, walking over, delivering the articles of impeachment.
The House clerk right now appears to still be holding on to the articles of impeachment, from what we can tell from the cameras right there.
Through the rotunda, through Statuary Hall, back to the House of Representatives.
Thinking about the history that they're walking through.
There's a sacramental quality to this. There's a ritual.
There is something almost religious to it. One of the things these senators are going to have to think about is what do they want us to think about when we look at their portrait.
And some of them might think there will be actual statues that we will someday walk by.
The French Revolution, did the guy getting his head taken off hear the drum roll? Why is there a drum roll? Why is there so much ritual in life?
People are going to be studying this for a long time.
You just listen to that and you're like, oh yeah. You know what I thought and everybody else thought? Why are there so many pens? What is this 2x2 through the foyer? Right? What is this? It felt like a grandiose thing that was for them and about them. Because that's what it is. It's for them. It's about them. And next week will be an opportunity for all of them to do what they love to do, which is pat themselves on the back, get their 5 minutes of something in there, and then run out to television and go blah, 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 blah. So the other day, we were talking about the best and worst airlines. And this airline was rated at the bottom. Now, I fly American a lot. Fine with it. But apparently, not just the flight that you have to be worried about. Maybe, just maybe, your baggage and what's on your baggage, like your name and whatnot, is something you should be thinking to yourself,
Our flight from San Diego to Chicago. I am on board now. Are you going to Chicago too? Ahmad asked.
Scary, very creepy. I felt extremely violated.
This airline passenger was waiting to board a flight when she received a strange text on her cell phone. Hey, Ashley, how are you? 34-year-old Ashley Barno didn't recognize the phone number. Moments later came this. You are looking very gorgeous in that gray top today.
I'm just looking around and trying to figure out who is watching me.
I like the fact that he said, are you going to Chicago too? I was like, no, you get to hear that, halfway through they're going to give me a parachute and I'm going to jump. So she's on an airplane and next thing you know, Creeper McCreeperson is texting her because he got her name and whatnot off her baggage. How absolutely creepy. Because now, I would have, just flipped. But, that is super weird. It ain't done.
Ashley says her anxiety grew when the man texting her claimed to work for American Airlines. He said his name was Ahmad. It was about to get even creepier after Ashley boarded her flight from San Diego to Chicago. I am on board now. Are you going to Chicago too? Ahmad asked. Yep. He was on board the same plane, and he was watching her as she filed past him on her way to her seat.
I was already scared prior, but that made it even worse because we're going to be together on an enclosed plane for 4 hours.
Yeah, you think? I mean, that's nuts. And I know they talk about we're going to have these, I know now that they're, as this modern world comes up, there's supposed to be dating apps now just for travel and flight and stuff like that. But this is super uncomfortable. We know you have many choices to choose from, but thank you for taking totally uncomfortable sexual assault airlines.
You want to sit next to me? Ahmad asked. What's your seat number? Ashley says she'd had enough. She texted back, not okay, not cool. Okay, it's up to you, but friendship with me will be very beneficial for you. I can always give you good seats, access to the lounges, and free flights too. In total, Ashley says she received 100 texts from him during the 4-hour flight, including sexually suggestive images.
Oh, he's sending those. That is no bueno. I've never, if a girl didn't like me, I'm okay, that's That's it. I mean, okay, you don't like me, right? Because you hear these stories of just nonstop bombard, like that's going to change. Like, hey, remember 3 minutes ago when you told me to leave you alone? You're going to block my number? Well, I'm coming back for more, which is why the number wasn't blocked is also kind of weird.
Ashley Barno says she showed the text messages to a flight attendant who recognized the American Airlines employee and told Ashley this wasn't the first time he'd done this. When the plane landed in Chicago, he was escorted off. But how had he gotten the passenger's name and cell phone number in the first place? Ahmad admitted that he'd spotted her information on her luggage tag.
Not only did he get my name and phone number, he got my home address as well.
Ashley is suing American Airlines for negligent hiring, and she's suing the man for sexual harassment.
Yeah, you think? He was like, hey, I can get you free flights and get you into the lounges. Here's a question, though, for you, Phil, because you and I have talked about this. If it's Brad Pitt, what do you think happens?
That's a date.
Okay. It's always that, too. Right? But creepy the way he got it. Why don't you just man up? Like, walk up to her like, hey, what's up? How are you? My name's Ahmed. And she could have been like, oh, I'm Ashley. Hey, are you single, Ashley? No. Okay, cool. Because he's a creeper. And I like how they said, oh, he's done this before. He's done this before, and he's still there? That is not good. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Wounded Paw, amazing organization, does amazing things. I was reading yesterday that Spotify now has soundtracks for your dogs and stuff. I just thought, really? But I guess animals, they, remember dogs, you leave, they don't know if it's been an hour or 6 years. They don't think you're even coming back. Are you coming back? My God, how long have you been gone? Like 10 minutes. Are you sure? Because it felt like 10 years. Wounded Paw, amazing organization. Let me tell you what they do. We're talking about dogs. They rescue dogs. Dogs that are shelter dogs. So imagine this. Dogs in a shelter, Wounded Paw gets a phone call that, hey, there's a dog here we've identified as a perfect dog for your program. And their program is simple. They take shelter dogs and turn them into service dogs and get them through our first responders, veterans, and their families. It is absolutely incredible what they do. Because they realize PTSD, physical ailments, and injuries, that sometimes it's something like an animal, a dog, a service dog, that changes the entire outlook. And it's incredible. They need your help. It ain't easy, and it ain't cheap. The gift of a vehicle, that's what they're looking for, right? So car, truck, RV, if it flies or floats, they'll take it. You get great tax-deductible gift, and you will be saving a paw to save a life. Check it out for yourself. WoundedPawProject.org, WoundedPawProject.org, or call 844-678-4PAW, 844-678-4729. They take cash as well, but check it out for yourself. See the great works they're doing. It will change so much. It really is saving a paw to save a life. WoundedPawProject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry.
This is Chad Benson.
What happened to Bad Boys for Life?
It's looking like a good weekend for Bad Boys. The Will Smith, Martin Lawrence sequel Bad Boys for Life might earn close to $50 million over the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend, showing there's still a lot of love for the bickering detectives 17 years after the last film. And if you're looking for something for the family,
You can talk to animals.
Robert Downey Jr. stars in Doolittle, featuring the voices of Emma Thompson, Selena Gomez, and more. That's looking at a more modest $20 to $25 million opening, which won't make much of a dent in its reported $175 million budget.
Yeah, they're thinking it's going to be a bomb. Now, when they talk budgets in movies, think about this for a second. Usually what you hear budget-wise is on-screen only. That doesn't include other parts of the budget that are going to be added on, like costs to hype the film, fly people left, right, and center all over the globe to promote the hell out of the film, commercials, etc. So it's... Yeah, they're looking at maybe a with that. I'd go see it with the kids. That's a perfect thing to see with the kids. don't know if I'd see it on my own. Bad Boys, that's interesting. The second one sucked. I think this one will be better. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. With all of these movie things going on, there's more drama, this time in the courtroom. Oh, look what I did there.
A jury of 7 men and 5 women has been selected to hear the evidence against Harvey Weinstein, who was charged with 5 felony counts of rape and forcible sex assault. It took nearly 2 weeks to choose the jury amid defense complaints that excessive publicity made fairness impossible. Prosecutors stressed the need for jurors to pay close attention to potentially disturbing testimony from witnesses who could be panic-stricken. The defense asked jurors whether they could acquit Weinstein, even if it's not the popular verdict.
Yeah, and they're going to do everything they can to move this out of there, and that will be their appeal they file if and when they lose. If and when they lose, that will be the appeal that they go out and file, saying there was just no way he was going to get a fair trial here or anywhere else where he was popular or well-known. It's not fair. People have already made up their mind because that's what we live in now. I mean, we don't live in an evidence-based world, a facts-based society. We live in I read something somewhere that was passed off to me, or I heard a bit of it, and we go and say, well, then he's guilty or he's innocent, or I don't like who, he just sounds scummy, or all of those things. And we'll see the facts come out. I mean, there's a lot of people, sometimes you question in a situation when you have more of a question of, okay, let's hear the facts. If this is the only time a person's ever been accused of anything, and he or she, but when there's as many as there is, you start to say, okay, well, obviously when there's smoke, there's fire, and we're not even seeing the smoke anymore because the fire's too big. It's like a volcano. But that will be their appeal. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Kathy Bates is getting hammered, speaking of Harvey Weinstein, because she was talking about the Me Too. And, of course, as you know, you got to be careful. But one of the things she said, look, in my day, when you went to somebody's hotel room, right, you knew why you were going there. She goes, in my day, if you went to a guy's hotel room, you knew exactly where you were going. And those days, it was consensual. Times were different. And I support the women who are coming forward now. And I'm not happy about the men who are being accused falsely. But the ones who deserve it, they're all, they're all getting my feeling, hey, go for it. I'm sure she'll get pushed back. Because you got to be careful, right? Like this week is a perfect example of Hollywood eating its own. So Stephen King comes out and he tweeted out about diversity when it comes to film. And he said, essentially, I'm paraphrasing his tweets, that when he's watching a film, he doesn't really he doesn't care about the diversity. Because is the film good or not? Is the product you're producing good? Right? That, in his mind, doesn't come into play. Like, this movie would have been better if we had had a black character, or a trans character, or a gay character, or a tall character. Sure, was the stuff in front of you good, and we can't do that. I mean, it's because the internet, there's no forgiveness, and I tell you, CEOs are scared. Casper Mattress, which when they're evaluating going public, right? Like, what are they going to do? They're going public. They're doing all of these things, and Casper's going all over this. One of the things in their filing that, because when you do all these things and you're evaluating, one of the big things that they were worried about wasn't, what do I say? It's not a downturn in the market. It's not other competition in a lot of ways. It's not somebody at this point in time reinventing the bed. The thing that they could think about at this moment in time that scares them most is because they were so heavily dependent on users and in particular influencers, that if the influence turned against them, that could tank the marketplace. And that was in their filing. That is to get ready to go do this. Things that they're looking as they're weighing options. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program. Check out thechadshow.com. Go there. Got all kinds of stuff there. Like, you can grab a podcast, which is absolutely free. Right? We don't even ask you for anything. Just go there and check us out. Check out the Facebook as well. And again, the text line, 323-538-CHAD. 323-538-2423. It's that simple. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.